Hi, my name is Terry Lynch. I'm the CEO of Power Nickel. Power Nickel is advancing the advanced polymetallic deposit Nisk in Quebec. So we've got a great discovery of nickel underbody now with very rich copper, PGM, gold, silver zone called the Lion Zone. And it's roaring. You want to learn more about Power Nickel.
Well, we're going to today, aren't we? Well, I say learn. We've been following you for a long time now.
Yeah, it's been good.
Starting off as nickel, polymetallic.
Yeah, still nickel, but I mean, it's just morphed, and as it turns out, it's not unusual for nickel deposits to ultimately morph into polymetallic deposits. Voisey's Bay is a polymetallic deposit. Norilsk is a polymetallic deposit. Plateau Reef. So the world's most valuable mines are polymetallic. So if you can get one, and they're super rare, you got one by the tiger by the tail.
Yours is slightly different. The grades off the charts. The market has reacted well. Your share price has tripled. So remind people of the grades that you're kind of finding.
Yeah, I mean we've been getting stuff like honestly from 3% to 30% copper equivalent. So I mean it's mind blowing. We've had probably half a dozen holes of call it 10% copper equivalent. Over big sections, 10, 15 meters. So just mind blowing numbers. So that's super exciting and over quite a bit of a width now. So it's not like a anomalous discovery. It now basically starts at surface. We're down to 275 meters and the width is about 100 meters wide. The primary zone, it's got a halo of about 50 to 75 meters on either side. That's mineable. And our expectation would be that everything in the Archean belt, if you have a chute like this, if the width is X, the depth will be 8 to 10 times X. So probably there's a lot more underneath the chute. That's what we're going to start drilling this Friday, trying to find that. And then the other thing we've determined is that these types of chutes are not onesies, not historically anyway. So we'd expect to find several of them. And we've gotten a real interesting new team member, Dr. Beresford from probably considered, if he's not the top mine in polymetallic exploration, he's certainly amongst that discussion. He was formerly first chief geologist at First Quantum, and then he went to MMG and then IGO. He's had a bunch of track record of success. Probably spent $500 million exploring for polymetallics. So he's forgotten more about that than we know. So having him join the team and help us to find the next pathway forward is going to be exciting.
Well, let's talk about what you've got. Okay, we're talking about sort of gently dipping body at the moment. High grade is great.
Yep.
But you got to get scale. You got to demonstrate scale to sustain that kind of growth and interest in the marketplace. So you talk about a new drill program starting this week.
Yep.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So we're probably already at a couple million tons.
Right.
So this stuff is so rich that would be economic. But we probably, if the math works out, maybe in this shoot we get to 6 or 7 million tons. And then of course, if you find several of these, then you're really in business. Dr. Beresford's view on this is that his operating thesis would be our main body, which is the nickel sulfide called Nisk. Nisk main is 5.5 kilometers to the southwest. He believes it's connected. So this whole thing is connected subsurface. That's his operating thesis. He said because we have a high-grade nickel in this line zone as well. So generally thinking is there's a nickel sulfide sort of oven and that act as sort of the furnace, and then some hydrothermal fluids came by, and in these fluids were the copper and the gold and the silver, and then it went up in almost like a geyser-like format and pulsed, and it just kept on pulsing until it ran out of energy, and that's why these chutes are super rich. And I guess it's not unusual for polymetallics to have that. And so he says, you'll have copper-rich zones like this, you'll have PGM-rich zones, you'll have precious metals-rich zones, and he predicts we'll even have a zinc-rich zone. When we were talking about, when I was first going through the project with him, I said, I don't really have an analogy for you. I don't have another mine in Canada I can say it's like Voisey's Bay, because it's not, because Voisey's Bay doesn't have gold and silver, you know what I mean? And doesn't have the PGMs like this. So he said, no, I got the analogy. I said, oh yeah, what's that? He said, Norilsk. I'm like, okay. And which is the world's most valuable mine, right? But he's saying, look, I'm not saying you're going to be the next Norilsk, but if you were to find one, it would start exactly like this. So he says, this is how polymetallics go. And he said, you'll find basically probably a number of interesting pieces to it. And he says, you'll be surprised at how many paying minerals you'll have in them. So he said, do you know how many ounces of gold Norilsk produced? I said, I had no idea. I didn't know they had gold. He said, 20 million ounces. So if you get one of these things right, it can be amazingly world class.
Absolutely. And I mentioned the magic word economic earlier. Okay,
Yep.
and there's the lesson of the last 3-4 years for a lot of companies, which no one's expecting the markets to do what they did. Money is hard to come by, and it still is. And I think even a high metal environment, for explorers, is still going to be hard to come by. Maybe there may be exceptions, and I suspect with yours at 3 times the share price, 3 times what it was beginning of the year. Maybe it's a cheaper capital for you, but you also must at the same time thinking about how do I move this thing forward you're 20% shareholder, right?
Yep.
Where the family is, right?
Yep.
So the least dilutive way possible. Is part of you thinking about getting into production?
So we're basically we've got CVMR doing the feasibility study. I'm actually going to Korea with them on Friday.
Right.
So
Can you explain who CVMR are?
So CVMR is probably the largest privately owned nickel refinery in the world.
Yeah.
They got 18 plants around the world, mines and plants. So they make, among other things, but mostly nickel powder. So we're actually bringing Nisk powder made from our nickel sulfide at Nisk to the Koreans for testing and stuff like that. So you want to be in the nickel powder business, because if you sell a concentrate, you're getting $20,000 or thereabouts a ton. Nickel powder is 60 to 80. So for an extra 4,000 or so, you're really making a lot more margin. So that's why we're interested in that. And they would have the capacity to, basically capitalize our mine development and refinery business and run it and build it.
Right.
Whereas we would not, right? That's just not beyond our skill set to do that. We can find the stuff for sure, but putting it in production would take a different set of skills. And so that's one of the things we're looking at. And then, the conventional pathway for junior miners is you find so much of it, they just come chasing you, so that's probably going to happen too.
Yeah, isn't it? But it's yes and no, in the sense that there's nothing conventional about the last 3-4 years.
No.
Right? So
Nothing conventional about the lion deposit either, though.
True, and that's what gives you the yes bit and the no bit, right? So the yes bit is it's very, very attractive, but they need to prove out the scale. And you're going to need time to do that. And the way that you finance that's going to be interesting for your shareholders, and your partnership's going to be important for your balance sheet, etc. I get it.
For sure.
Right? So, but are they, CVMR, are they focused primarily on the nickel component?
Yeah, because initially when we started, that's what we had, right?
Yeah,
they didn't know we had the land zone, neither did we, So obviously they're going to do some metallurgical work on the line zone as well. So that'll continue forward, but we're continuing on the pathway of the nickel side of things with them while we're drilling the line zone. And then on financing, we're blessed being in Quebec. So we're able to still, even though with the changes in the rule, we're still able to get, at this point, 1.9 times money, So, that's still pretty fantastic. So, we've got, right now, I don't know, something like 11 billionaires in the deal, including Robert Friedland and Rob McEwen and all these guys. So we've got a lot of really smart mining people that, can have and do invest other ways, but they're with us right now because they see this tremendous potential and they want to have more. So that's good.
So tell me about the what currently. You've got, what's the kind of gold equivalent number? I guess that's something that people would understand.
Yeah, I would say, if you put a thumb on it, I'd say like 1 million ounces is already sort of in what we've got right now.
And you got some drilling coming up.
Yep.
What's the game plan with that?
Yeah, I would, if convention's whole and it's like 8 to 10 times the width, then you probably get to like 3 million ounces by the summer. So
that'd be a good drill program for you.
Yeah, it would be a good drill program for us. Yeah.
How much that cost?
That'll be costing basically 2.4 million.
Right.
Yep.
Are we financed?
Yeah, we raised 2 million, and then obviously the warrants have started to come in. We've picked up 1.5 million in warrants in the last 3 weeks. So and they're still coming in with another 4 million that's callable. That but they're coming in. We haven't called them, but we've leaned on them and said, okay, bring it in soon. So we're okay. I think the rules change after June 25th. So we're seeing, we obviously had some great news out today. We'll see where that goes, and there may be some opportunities. With some really powerful financiers to come in and give us like another injection of capital, but also credibility boost as well.
Yeah, well, for sure. You judge by the company you keep, right?
Yep.
And the register looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Is it entirely focused on what you've got in front of you? I know you've got some other projects in the portfolio. What do you do with those?
Yeah, so we're obviously 99% focused on Nisk. We're spinning out our copper golds, and that's going to be a nice benefit to our shareholders because they're getting nothing for it right now. It'll be a nice new, and that's actually being done in a private vehicle. Initially, it's done in a private vehicle because it'll be a way to trap the shorts that are in our stock, we think, and that's a whole another kettle of fish.
You should read Bloomberg today. There's a story about shorting and the fact that they are bailing. They are had enough.
They're going to be bloodied on ours as well. They're down, we think, 30 million already on our deal.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we wish them more pain. I've taken lots of pain from them. Trust me, it's been tough, and I feel we've been blessed because we were in Quebec. We had some family capital we were able to put in. I could get other guys to put in because I was putting money in.
Yeah.
So we were able to inch it forward. Whereas there's many fine companies, and you and I both know them.
Yeah.
And man, if you weren't in critical minerals in Quebec, you were tough, man. Like look, there's tons of great projects outside Quebec, precious metal and battery metal.
Yeah.
With really good teams, and they've done good things, done all the right things, but they've been punished.
I hear you.
Unfairly. And I feel like really, really badly. But I think times are changing, and I think it's time for people to push their chips in, and we did.
Now, you've been able to kind of obviously attract people like CVMR and some billionaires along the way. That's unusual, right?
Yeah.
As you say, most companies will struggle. They're cash constrained, even though they've got good teams, good assets, and that's a real problem for the sector. But when you see things like BHP, Anglo, well, it obviously didn't work out, but preferring to go and merger of equals, and we're seeing a lot of that. We've been involved with 4 so far this year already. How the heck is the money going to come into the juniors, to the explorers, to allow them to actually move projects forward? Because that's what we need.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, we've talked to the Ford government about changing some of the rules. Like there's a thing called short market exempt in Canada. It's how the shorts manufacture paper. Okay, if we could cut that off, which is basically, it gives, in life, if you're black or white or brown, you're all treated equal. If you're straight or you're trans, you're gay, you're treated equal. If you're investors, no. You and I are treated differently than hedge funds. That's just not right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't explain to mom and pop public the story about naked shorting and counterfeit shares and failures to deliver. It's just too complicated, because I've done that for 3 years and it's tough. Okay, but I can talk to them all day long about, hey, the bankers are getting treated better than you. Do you think that's fair? No. So that's what the message to the Ford government and to all the Canadian governments, to wake the hell up, because you're going to be tossed out of office if you don't change. That's the message we can bring to the public. We hope that you guys will wake up. We're not, wanting to do that right now. We want them to cooperate. That's the easiest way forward, and they're looking at it. So I think there could be some positive moves coming soon in that space.
I hope so, because all this kind of front running and basically, as you say, being able to get in and out before anyone knows what the heck's going on, it's totally unfair. It's also a huge value destruction for the mom and pop type investor.
Yeah, the math is this: $40 billion in the junior mining alone, probably closer to $500 billion in the Canadian capital markets. You think about what that means to mom and pop Canada. It's crazy.
Big damage. Not good for the sector as a whole. Not
good for anybody. Forward. You can't have schools. You can't have doctors. Taxes. Everything funds on capital growth. You got to have it.
Let's talk about that another day. Okay. Things going well for you, hitting the grades across all the kind of critical minerals, across the precious as well. A lot of people talking about what's going on with you guys. End of this year, love to see you hit sort of 3 million gold equivalent. That would be great. Yeah. Great news for you guys. Keep doing what you're doing today.
All right, thanks,
really
man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good. Cheers.